Hey guys, Sausage here. Released onto Steam on June 2nd, 2025, Zefyr, A Thief's Melody, is a game where you play as a young thief studying at the Thieves Guild. In this colorful archipelago, you will investigate kidnappings, steer clear of roaming pirates, or fight them, and sail around the ocean on a turtle. Explore every island, cure sick animals, and uncover the truth during this feel-good journey. Before we start, I want to mention that this review will have major spoilers, so here's your warning. With that out of the way, let's start the review. You play as a character named Iko, or Iko, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, but you're a recruit at the Thieves Guild. After doing a little bit of platforming on the Thieves Guild island as part of the tutorial, you're sent on your first mission to go steal an eagle egg. This is also still part of the tutorial, kind of, because at this point you're still doing some platforming, but they've introduced eagles, which kind of act like enemies, kind of. But after that, after you get the egg, you go back to your home island and your sister wants you to go buy fabric for her fashion contest. This is where the story really begins, because at the fashion contest, your sister and a bunch of the other contestants are all kidnapped by pirates. From there, you go on a bunch of different adventures in an attempt to rescue your sister. If that story kinda sounds like a game that you may have played on the GameCube back in 2002, well, you're not wrong. This game takes heavy inspiration from The Legend of Zelda Windwaker, Beyond Good and Evil, Okami, Sly Cooper, and a bunch of other games. Now, I've only played Wind Waker, I didn't play any of those other games, but I definitely see where the developer is coming from in both graphics and art and gameplay with this game. The first item you really get, they're not really items, it's more of just a flat out mechanic that's going to be in the game, but one of the first items you get are magnet claws, and that allows you to stick to surfaces so that you can climb up walls. As you play, you'll collect tools and upgrades such as a bow staff for combat, or the ability to swim in water, a turtle mount that allows you to traverse the oceans, a bow and arrow, bombs, and even a grapple at the very end of the game. Going back to the bow staff, the main form of combat in this game is using the bow staff to perform light and heavy attacks. The light attack is rapidly pressing the left mouse button, while the heavy attack requires charging by pressing and holding the right mouse button. You can't really string combos together except for spamming the left mouse button, but that's kind of okay. I did use the heavy attack occasionally, but it was only when an enemy saw me and I hid behind a corner, so they would have to come run up beside me and then I would charge it to hit them. With that said, you are encouraged to sneak and hide as you play. Moving on to the bow and arrows, I did start using it towards the end of the game to take out enemies from a distance if I didn't want to engage with them with the bow staff. I would just snipe them from a distance and then just move on. Aside from that, there wasn't much else in terms of combat using the bow and arrows. There were some mechanics that were in the game, such as shooting a switch from across the map, but that was about it. There is a slingshot that did the same thing, so this just felt like a slightly modified slingshot, and that's okay, but like I said, it kind of had a very niche purpose. There were also bombs, but I never really used that for combat. There were a few rubble piles here and there that you needed to use the bombs to blow up to move on to a new area, but as for combat, I didn't really use the bombs. There is a different type of bow and arrow that uses magic, but I only really use those for the robots because it would one-shot the robots. Besides that, it had a few other mechanics in the game, such as crystals, like from The Legend of Zelda, where you would have to shoot a crystal to activate it. The magic bow kind of served that purpose, but aside from that, again, it had a very niche purpose. And then, like I said, there's a grapple that you can unlock at the very end of the game, and I really enjoyed using it. Before finishing the game, I wanted to go back to all the different islands and re-explore them to try to find all the different collectibles, and the grapple made it such a breeze. Normally, as you play, you have to run here, you have to climb that, you gotta go over here, but with the grapple, you can just aim and shoot and traverse so easily. It was very fun. Moving on, I want to talk about the various different side quests in the game. There are a few side quests that you just complete as you play without even really trying because it's not required, but it's still tied to the story, so they just kind of happen. But there are 2 side quests that you have to actually put in effort to complete, and that's finding all 654 different flowers and healing all the different animals in the game. You can buy these items that are kind of like sensors. I don't know if that's the right word, but you can buy these items and then on your main map, it'll show you on all the different islands where there's chests, where there's paintings, animals, and different flowers. So while there are 654 flowers and it sounds daunting, having this upgrade really helps you to narrow down where you've looked and where you haven't. One of the last things I want to mention about the gameplay is that there are 3 alternate outfits that you can find and unlock as you play. When you start the game, you have this blue outfit that doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any perks or anything like that. It's just a standard outfit. But one of the outfits you can get allows you to be a little more quiet when you sneak, so the enemies can't hear you. Or another one allows the enemies to have a harder time spotting you. I think it just takes longer for them to spot you. But my favorite outfit is this one right here that allows you to run faster after running for a few seconds. It really made traversing all the different islands just a little bit quicker. Lastly, I do want to mention that this game is playable with mouse and keyboard, control, and Steam Deck if you have one. Moving on, let's talk about the graphics and art. Growing up, I was a big Nintendo kid, and so when I first saw this game, my first thought was, hey, that looks like the Wind Waker, and man, does it really look good. I absolutely love the cel shading, I love the ocean aesthetic, and I love the water shimmer in this game. There's a setting where you can turn water shimmer on or off. I recommend turning it on if your PC can handle it. Going back to the cel shading, I mean, it's just timeless. It looks good. Yes, you can say that the Wind Waker was upgraded to HD, but I feel like that's a little bit different. The original game still looks pretty good. I mean, it's dated, of course, but it holds up better than most other games from 2002. So the developer going with cel shading was a really good idea. For just a moment, I want to touch on the soundtrack. There's not a lot of music in this game, but what the game does provide is really nice. The music that the game does have, I really enjoyed. I just wish there was more of it. Lastly, let's talk about the time. This game costs $25 US, and the Steam page says you'll get about 10 to 15 hours out of it. I myself got just over 17 hours out of the game, but that's because I ran into a couple bugs that I wanted to address with the developer so he could fix it before it gets released, but also I wanted to find all the different collectibles as well. With that said though, I did only complete 97% of the game, but before you guys pull out pitchforks or exit out of the video, please just hang tight and I'll explain why. With all of that said, Zefyr, A Thief's Melody earns a rating of 7.4 sausages out of 10. I really enjoyed the story, but it just felt minimal. The overall goal was to rescue my sister, but rather than having big story elements happen, it just felt like extra steps being put into the quest. I had to save my sister, but I had to go rescue this person first, and then I had to go steal this key, then I had to go investigate a factory, but before I can investigate, I have to go get a new weapon or ability. These elements aren't bad, nor was the story, but it didn't feel like the story was evolving. The gameplay is extremely solid, but I do have a couple recommendations on how to make it better. First, this game desperately needs a minimap. It got so tiresome opening up my big map just to orient myself in the correct direction. Having a minimap to tell me which direction I am facing and if there are any collectibles nearby would be a great benefit to this game. Second, better rewards for completing the game. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to turn into the completionist for a moment without the tax fraud. Sorry, alleged tax fraud. In this game, there are 33 paintings to collect, a bunch of animals to cure, and over 600 flowers to collect. The things I'm about to address, I talked to the developer about specifically, so this is coming straight from the source. The 33 paintings in the game? Yeah, they don't actually do anything. They're purely collectible. The developer wanted to make a side quest for it, but they kind of ran out of time, and I understand that, but I still wish that there was something for collecting all 33. As for the 654 flowers, one of them was bugged, so I had to talk to the developer and they were able to send out a little patch so I could get the final last one. But once I got the last one and I went and sold it to the flower girl, that's it. Nothing really happened. There was a quest and the quest was now complete, but there was nothing else. So as I was looking at the paintings and the flowers and noticing that I had 100% completed certain other areas of the game, such as the inventory, I was thinking to myself, why should I go get the rest of the animals? Because I assume I'm not going to get anything for completing that quest either. I have all the suits, I have all the different weapons, I have all the different abilities. There's nothing else to unlock. The only thing I would unlock by completing the game is getting an achievement. While I don't necessarily think that there should be a reward for 100% completing a game, though having one is nice, I do like to be rewarded for completing quests. This game doesn't have any sort of experience or anything like that, but I do wish that I got something for completing these different quests, and I got nothing. You do get money for selling all the different flowers, so you can collect all 654 flowers and sell them for money, but when I beat the game, I had over 6,000 rupees, or actually they're called magnetites, but my wallet was full. I had nothing to spend it on, so again, I didn't really get anything out of that except money, but I was already stockpiled, so yeah, I didn't really get anything out of it. So again, why should I go cure all the sick animals? I'm not going to get anything out of it. Moving on to the different outfits, the one I liked the most was the one that gave the speed boost, but small complaint here, when you jump, you lose the speed boost, which is kind of annoying a little bit. I would recommend just keeping the speed boost if you do jump, but again, small complaint. The other two outfits, while they do operate differently on a mechanics level, I feel like they still served a similar purpose, and I didn't really use them that much. One outfit allows you to sneak more quietly, so it makes it harder for the enemies to spot you, while the other one allows you a little bit extra time to hide behind cover if the enemy does spot you before being alerted. So like I said, while they do operate differently on a mechanics level, they still kind of feel the same. With all those things said, I do think it would have been nice to make the outfits a reward for completing these quests, rather than just finding them randomly in chests as you play. Was it nice to find these outfits? Absolutely, but I didn't feel like I earned them. But then with the quests, I feel like I put in work and I didn't get any reward. So maybe the developer can make these outfits the rewards for the quests. Just an idea. So overall, the gameplay is great, but it's not perfect. I do think it can be improved on just a little bit. As for the art and graphics though, this is the game's greatest strength. If you grew up playing Wind Waker, you will absolutely love the way this game looks. The only thing I would change is adding more NPCs, though that's tiptoeing on gameplay. The game feels empty, and I would have enjoyed having more NPCs to talk to, or at least to make the game appear more lively. The weakest link of this game is the soundtrack. The music the game does include is fantastic, but unfortunately, it's few and far between. The short and simple answer is that the game needs more music. There's no other way to say it. As for the time, the dev says you'll get 10 to 15 hours out of the game. I got 17, but that's because I was chasing a full completion of the game. Since there is no reason to complete the game at the time of this review, you will get something closer to 10 to 15 hours out of it. That said, could the game be a little cheaper? Yeah, maybe, like $20, but if the dev were to include completion bonuses to the game, pushing the playtime to 15 to 20 hours, then $25 would definitely be worth the price. Again, $25 isn't a bad price, but if you wanted to wait until this was 20% off, I wouldn't blame you there either. If the developer could implement any of these changes with a mini-map or more music, with completion rewards, or maybe even NPCs, I could definitely see this game earning a 7 out of 10 or maybe even a little bit higher. But as it sits right now, 7.4 isn't a bad rating. The game isn't perfect, but man, it's still really good. As a fan of Wind Waker, I can say with confidence that this game was a ton of fun to play and I had a hard time putting it down. It is fantastic, but there is definitely room for improvement, and I really hope the dev can make these changes. The game is good, but it can do better, and I hope that happens. And that's my review of Zefyr: A Thief's Melody. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below, but if not, just know that I appreciate your viewership nonetheless. I also stream on Twitch occasionally, I have a Discord for both content creators and casual viewers alike, and I'm a Steam curator, so consider following me on all of those platforms as well. I'll leave a link to everything in the description below. Anyway, I think I'm going to cut my review here. Mahoney out.